snowless. First time possibly in 20 years. If it remains like this, the Union Territory is on the verge of a power crisis. And that's just one crisis. These visuals on your screen are from the latest snowfall in Badrinath and parts of Shimla. But moving our focus again to what's happening in Kashmir, where peaks are largely snowless. And if we could get those visuals up as well. Now let's give you a reality check if you really think all of this is only about Kashmir. There you have Kashmir. I mean, imagine the peak of January, in the middle of January, this is how it looks. In West Bengal, Purulia's lowest temperature this season has equaled that of Darjeeling's. Chennai has been witnessing unseasonal rainfall. Mumbai has witnessed the warmest January temperature, say in 14 years, and it's just 17 days into January. Before we go any further, my colleagues from the north, south, east and west of India bring you this very important report.
Kashmir Valley is experiencing a remarkable weather pattern shift with a staggering 100% deficit recorded for the snowfall in the month of January. The Kashmir recorded over 5 to 6 degrees Celsius above the normal in the month of January, becomes hotter day than the Delhi. Now, this is for the first time in the last 20 years that the Kashmir Valley has experienced such a hotter day for the Chileklan, which is the 40-day harshest period of the winter in the Kashmir Valley.
I'm standing in front of the second Hooghly Bridge, and you can, if we just zoom into the back, you can see that due to fog, the bridge is almost not visible. In the north area, in the north part of West Bengal, if we talk about Purulia being one of the districts which recorded as low as 3 degrees Celsius just a couple of days ago, which is where the temperature that is very much near to the northmost West Bengal part, that is Darjeeling. Hailstorms are also seen, in certain parts of Kolkata, in fact.
Mumbai is growing at a fast rate. However, the maximum city is being developed without paying attention to its natural ecology. Just few days back, Mumbai recorded its hottest January with 36 degrees Celsius. It's not only about rising temperatures but declining sea levels. 3 years back, Mumbai's Municipal Commissioner I.S. Chahal stated that Mumbai's southern part will be sinked in Arabian Sea by 2050.
In 2015, Chennai experienced extremely heavy rainfall followed by massive flooding. And then again in the year 2021, a similar extremely heavy rainfall followed by massive flooding. And we all know for a fact what happened in 2023. Not only Chennai but also the southern districts of Tamil Nadu like Tuticorin, Kanyakumari and Tirunelveli experienced massive flooding, and all these districts completely went under waters. Especially there is one village in Tuticorin called Kailpatnam. This village, Kailpatnam, received 95 centimeters of rainfall in 24 hours. Environmentalists say that Kailpatnam is supposed to receive 95 centimeters of rainfall in 1 year. What was supposed to happen in 365 days, for a whole year, happened in one single day. The village received 95 centimeters of extremely heavy abnormal rainfall in one single day. But for the moment, Tamil Nadu in the last 10 years has been experiencing abnormal weather conditions without any doubt.
2023 for India has been the hottest on record. 80% of the year witnessed extreme weather phenomena. Unprecedented floods, heat waves, drought, landslides, hurricanes, forest fires, cold waves, lesser of them have all made headlines. And it's not even a India alone problem. 2023 was the world's hottest year on record, according to European Union's Copernicus Climate Change Service. In fact, as we speak, the US is in deep freeze mode with coldest temperatures on record for all 50 states. But before we go further, let's again shift our focus to what's happening in India. I'm being joined right now by IMD Chief, Mr. Mohapatra, to make sense of all of this. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. My first question to you, no snow in Kashmir, most of Himalayan peaks. Is this an aberration or something deeper?
Yeah, you are correct. This year, there has been no snowfall activity in the month of January over the western Himalayan region, including Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, and Uttarakhand. Only just a day there was light precipitation over Uttarakhand. Otherwise, the entire region almost had zero precipitation or snowfall. In December also, the same region was highly deficient with respect to rainfall and snowfall. So, continuously December and January, it has been the lack of activity. So, certainly it is a matter of concern. The rainfall or snowfall in western Himalayan region is about 30% of the total activity in the year for the period December to February. It helps in management of water resources with the snowfall, and also it has certain impact in our climate system, and also it helps in various types of agricultural activities and other businesses. So, if you look at the trend considering the data of say past 50 years, it is found that there is a change in climatic behavior, and it is mostly reflected in terms of the extreme weather. What we find that the snowfall activity during the period December, January and February over the western Himalayan region comprising Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand are showing a decreasing trend over the years. It means we can find in many years where you will have less than normal snowfall or rainfall in the period December to February. At the same time, the temperature of this region is increasing, and increase is maximum in the winter season December to February. Quantitatively, the temperature has risen by about 1 degree Celsius if you consider the period from 1901 to 2023, and this trend is 1 degree Celsius for 100 years. Even though amount is 1 degree, but it is significant when you consider the individual area within Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh or Uttarakhand. So, on the one hand you have a trend in reduction of the snowfall, on the other hand you have a trend on the rise in temperature.
It's just 17 days into 2024 and unusual high temperatures already seem to be the highlights. This after India recorded 2023 as its hottest year perhaps. What are we really looking at as a layman's perspective while talking to ordinary people? What would you say?
Yeah, you are correct. If I see India as a whole or from south to north, everywhere, most parts of the country shows the rising trend in temperature, and it is visible in most of the areas and also more visible in the growing cities and developed cities as you told Mumbai or Srinagar, except a few pockets in Gangetic plains where we have got no change in temperature or slight decreasing trend. Entire country has the increasing trend in temperature. This rising temperature is not limited only to the surface of the earth, but also in the lower troposphere up to a height of say about 3 kilometers in the atmosphere, there is rise in temperature. So, as a result, the moisture content in the atmosphere is also increasing. 1 degree rise in temperature leads to 7% increase in relative humidity. So, as a result, for the same temperature, the discomfort or the impact of the heat wave also becomes more visible, and the heavy rainfall when it occurs due to the monsoon or due to the cyclones or any low pressure systems, due to the 7% increase in the content of the relative moisture in the atmosphere due to this climate change. So, more frequent and more intense heavy rainfall also occurs in the country. So, the cold wave, which is usually experienced in December, January and February, that shows a decreasing trend because of the rise in temperature. But at the same time, the variation from one year to other or within the season has increased. Therefore, you cannot rule out even the extreme cold conditions as we have seen in recent few days. The cold days and cold wave conditions are also prevailing at present in the plains of northwest India.
No, so is India prepared enough to project or forecast such extreme weather phenomena, which it has been unable to do in some very key instances over the last few years? Chennai, Kerala, just some of the examples.
So, if you just look at, because of the climate change, the frequency and intensity of heavy rainfall events are increasing, but not in all where or all across the country, but especially in the central India and the peninsular India, the frequency and intensity of heavy rainfall is increasing. There are studies which shows that the event with 15 centimeter or more rainfall in 24 hours are showing the increasing trend, and it has been attributed to the climate change. So, in future also this frequency and intensity of the heavy rainfall events will increase. So, therefore, we have to be prepared for more frequent, more intense heavy rainfall activity, especially in the urban areas, because there is an additional burden due to the urban effect, that is called the heat island effect, which also lead to additional rainfall.
No, but what is IMD or India's plan for this? Do we have anything concrete?
Yes, you are correct. We have to improve our modeling system and observational system. We have to go for very dense observational network in the cities and towns which are prone for this type of extremely heavy rainfall activity, be it southwest monsoon or be it northeast monsoon or be it those heavy rainfall associated with cyclones and depressions. These are the three areas where we have the challenge to predict the extremely heavy rainfall activity. We have to also improve our assessment with respect to the hazards, the impact, and according to the vulnerability of the particular place and the people, and hence the digital risk assessment for each individual or each household or each sector in the country.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mohapatra, for joining us. I'm also being joined right now at this point by Viju B, who's a deputy resident editor for the Times of India, as well as Professor Raghu Murthagude, who's with the IIT Bombay, as well as an emeritus professor of Earth Sciences, UMD. Thank you very much, both of you, for joining us. Well, one thing that, which may alarm you at prime time having just two guests, we're just hoping we'll be able to deep dive and make some sense of all the data and everything that's happening around us. Well, first to you, Mr. Viju, we've got facts from different places in, we've got the headlines from different places in, from north to south, east to west. But what's the missing link today in India?
Yeah, in fact, to let you know about the temperature of Kerala. Kerala, in fact, we are sweating in December. Imagine, in December we are sweating, and we had the highest temperature in the last 7 years. It is around 32, 33. So, climate change has hit Kerala in a very big way. Of course, as you know, in December we had floods in Chennai, and it was pretty bad. Chennai was so many people lost their belongings and properties, etc. So, if you look at the western coast and the peninsula, as Mohapatra was saying, that it's becoming really bad, and the IMD a 4-degree increase in the temperature in the western coast and the southern India is going to impact in a big way the intensity rainfall and drought is going to increase. And earlier we used to hear this very funny argument by the government that this is going to be a 100-year phenomenon, monsoon and floods, but it's not the case. We had 2018 Kerala floods, and every year after that, if you look at 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, we had landslides and floods occurring in Kerala. So the climate change problem has become real across western coast of India. If you look at the cyclones which are happening in Arabian Sea, out of the 15 cyclones which happen in India, 8 happened in the Arabian coast. Imagine 8 of the cyclones were because the placid Arabian Sea that we were seeing for the last 50 years is completely gone. The cyclones are hitting badly across the western coast, be it in Maharashtra, be it in Mumbai, Mumbai coast, be it in Tamil Nadu, be it in Kerala. So on one side we have the problems which is occurring in the western coast, and on the Western Ghats, for example, which I covered in detail post Kerala floods. Landslides are occurring every year. In fact, there is this very shocking study.
All right. In fact, Mr. Viju, I just get back to you. There seems to be some connectivity issue. There seems to be some glitches with your video. My team will try and just reconnect and sort that out. But Professor Raghu, if I could just turn our attention to, it's not just India really. World over, you had the Copernicus, the European Union scientists saying that 2023 has gone as a record, the hottest across the world. There have been extreme weather phenomena that have taken our attention. If you look at what's happened recently, COP28, of course, huge headlines that emerged out of it. But what is in store for India? Do we have our focus at the right place?
Yeah, so first, 2023, you have to understand what exactly happened. There was a big El Nino, and El Nino is called a mini global warming because the ocean keeps collecting heat during La Nina and normal times. And during an El Nino, it belches it out. So you add a little heat to the atmosphere. But 2023 warming was well above what we would expect from global warming, plus what El Nino added, because we had wildfires. We had an undersea volcano erupt in 2022, the Hangatunga, which threw up a lot of water vapor, and sulfate aerosols were reduced. So the reflection of sunlight was reduced. So the combination created this tremendously hot year. 2024 is expected to kind of be along the same lines, and you will have lots of extremes thrown around again. Droughts, heat waves, floods, and of course landslides are possible. But what you have to understand now is you are having very, very cold temperatures in some part of the world and very warm temperatures in some other parts, because the jet stream is swinging like crazy from north to south. So when it comes down, it brings very cold air, colder than Mars, as we say, down. But when it goes up north in the other part, it brings warm air northward. So it's over India, in Mumbai, where I'm sitting, it's not just that today it's very cold. For example, we had the coldest temperature in a while, but we have generally had very warm temperatures. So it's these swings in temperatures that are very important. If you look at Northwest India, Delhi has had record cold temperatures, but you have had warm temperatures. And as DG Mohapatra was saying, western disturbances have been trending down, so we're getting less snowfall. So it's a question of now, what do we expect in the coming spring? We'll of course have heat waves, but where will they be? So this is a big question. Then how will the pre-monsoon look? Last year we had very heavy rains over parts of Punjab, lots of crop damages, parts of Gujarat and Mumbai. So Arabian Sea has warmed a lot, and that is going to again create very heavy rainfall in parts of India. So India is in for these extreme events, and we have to be prepared. And as you were asking DG Mohapatra, the extreme forecasts are not completely at the level we want them to be. So often we are just preparing for the worst and hoping for the best.
Do we have, I was just trying to check with my team, do we have Mr. Viju back with us? All right, Mr. Viju, Professor Raghu just now mentioned about how we are preparing for the worst. But is India really preparing for the worst? What's really coming to my mind, even as a reporter who's covered things in the ground across India, you have as well covered it. Are we prepared for the worst? What are we preparing with? I don't get a sense of preparations. I mean, we know things may get worse. But on the ground, what's changing for the preparations? Could you throw insights into that?
Anna, you'll see what. If you don't have him on online, I can.
All right, I think they're trying. They're trying to sort out the connectivity with Mr. Viju. But Professor Raghu, let me just come back to you now. The same question to you, really back. What is changing in terms of our preparedness? There's a lot of preparation that's happening, but what is changing on the ground? Tomorrow we may have the same floods, we may have the same drought, we may have the same cold waves, we may have the same heat waves, all at a totally different level. But are we seeing things happen on the ground? I don't.
Yes, no, we have to be fair, honestly, Sneha, because the NDMA, National Disaster Management Agency, has reduced number of fatalities tremendously over India. Cyclone forecasts are very good. You saw last year what happened. So with that in mind, what is missing? We have IPCC making projections. We are making forecasts. What do you need? You need risk information at very local scales. This is not available anywhere. So whatever we have built in the Himalayas or along the
Anywhere
coast,
as in India or globally? What do you mean by anywhere, sir?
Sorry? Anywhere
what do you mean by it's not available, minute level risk available?
It's nobody has it because IPCC does not produce. They produce things at a scale of 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers, and not at a daily scale. They will be at monthly scales, which are not useful. And the residual risk is never zero. So what happened in Himachal in terms of landslides? Can you really prepare for something like that when you get, as your report was saying before, if you get all the rain of 1 year in a few hours in Tamil Nadu? Can you really prepare for that? So we are getting hammered at a scale that is really not even imaginable. So if we have made mistakes, that is amplified now by these extreme events. So to the extent that we are managing the crisis very well, the next step that has to happen, that you are asking the right question, is do we only keep on worrying about managing the crisis and getting beyond the next crisis, or are we going to be able to build resilience in the system going forward? To build the resilience, we need planning, we need budgeting, we need local risk information, and India has to really move forward. IMD has to help, other academic institutions, IITM, social scientists have to help to prepare risk maps, and the risk maps are very different for coastal regions versus mountain regions versus dry, hot regions, Chhattisgarh, Bihar, and so on. So we are moving in the right direction. We are not moving as fast because climate is changing too fast. We just cannot plan that fast.
All right. Okay, let me just try and get Mr. Viju again. There seems to be some issue with your line, Mr. Viju, but let me just try asking you this question. Practically speaking, on the ground, have you seen anything change? You are in Kerala, you travel to Tamil Nadu, you're in Bombay. While there is a lot of planning going, there are officials appointed, there's so much lost between what seems to be center-state coordination. There's blame games that keep repeating. After every major disaster, it is said it is an unprecedented rainfall, it is an unprecedented heat wave. Do you see any systems in place that could tackle this with immediacy if it was to happen again?
That we are good at disaster management. And that is happening now. When there is a disaster happening, for example, in Kerala, we immediately rush to the spot, and the rehabilitation work was pretty good. But long-term planning is still missing across India. That's what I'm seeing, be it in Mumbai or wherever. I mean, we need to have a comprehensive policy, an integrated policy, and look at the mitigation, look at long-term integrative conservational policies, which is not happening, unfortunately, be it in Kerala or across. Look at, for example, I'll give you a simple example about our whole controversy. I wouldn't say controversy. Whole promotion of Maldives versus Lakshadweep, isn't it? So now we are promoting Lakshadweep in a big way, But have you ever done a carrying capacity study of Lakshadweep? How many people can go to Lakshadweep, isn't it? It's filled with coral reefs. You can't compare Maldives with Lakshadweep in the first place. Maldives has around 113 islands. Lakshadweep has just 36 islands. So can we have a mega infra project in Lakshadweep? Have we done a carrying capacity study over there?
Right.
It's a home ground for turtles over there. So what will happen to the turtles? There are villas coming up, giant water villas coming up, the giant water villa project coming up. So what will happen? What will happen to the fragile ecological systems like Lakshadweep? Now, what will happen to our Vembanad ecosystem, which is one of the largest ecosystems after Sundarbans? The entire Vembanad ecosystem in Kerala has been almost destroyed. 85% of the Vembanad ecosystem has been completely destroyed. Look at Mumbai, for example, which I covered. I covered the 2005 Mumbai floods, and look at the creek that goes through Mahim. It's as polluted as ever. The Methi River. In fact, the reason for the Mumbai floods to get aggravated was because they actually diverted the Methi River for the construction of the airport. That was the reason for the Mumbai floods to occur. So we still don't have an integrated policy. Looking at all this, look at the Chennai floods, for example. There are 3 rivers flowing through through Chennai, through the heart of Chennai. Unfortunately, all those 3 rivers have been encroached. And look at that marshland, which is called the Pallikarnai marshland, which is a Ramsar site. 5,500 hectares of marshland. Only 10% is remaining right now. It's been completely encroached. So these are the reasons. So how do you sort of rehabilitate? How do you sort of revive these water bodies, these dead water bodies? We need to have Western Ghats, for example. Western Ghats, as you know, is this 1,600 kilometer long mountain ranges which covers 6 states. 31% of the Western Ghats, which is around 38,000 square kilometers, has been completely destroyed in the last 90 years. So we need to look at, that's what I'm trying to say. We need to have a integrated national policy looking at how are we going to look at this national disasters. Do we have a national policy for conservation?
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, as Sneha, we don't have
there seems to be real bandwidth problem with you. But to you, Professor Raghu, again, one last question. Is it beyond time that India should really have had a dedicated climate crisis minister?
I mean, you can always set up structures, but the main thing is that the heavy focus on renewables and mitigation is very important. It shows us as global players on dealing with climate, but India's greatest needs in adaptation are not being met. So I would not call necessarily climate crisis, but it has to be something about climate adaptation ministry. Because remember, even if suddenly we start getting local risk information for every city that was mentioned, every forest, every mountain slope, and so on, we have to integrate that into budget process, and budget mainstreaming of the adaptation has to happen. And that cannot happen unless you have a dedicated ministry with a budget and the line of command that you were asking before. Who gives the information, who implements it on the ground, who monitors, who evaluates, who makes sure that progress is being made in the right direction, that adaptation is happening and not maladaptation is happening, and so on. So it is a lot of work, but I wouldn't just dismiss the efforts being made. There are, of course, shortcomings, but we need more people to provide useful information about climate risks at scales where action needs to happen. Right now, the information we have is very vague. You know, if you say Northwest is going to get more heat waves, what do you do with it? Don't build in the Himalayas means where? We have a long, a line of mountains where you can actually do a lot of socio-economic activities in a safe way if we have a risk map. So the adaptation ministry can be set up to drive these efforts and to funnel funds in a sustained way to make sure we actually make the system climate resilient. Otherwise, India's dream of economic growth will not materialize.
That's very true, because climate change or extreme weather phenomenons is never seen in isolation. We would have liked to carry this discussion to continue, but Viju, there seems to be some line issue with the connectivity at your end. Apologize to our viewers for the disruptions in between, but our attempt is to bring focus on this entire issue. Thank you for joining us on this. It's time for a short break. On the other side, news and updates will continue.
Go